Hello everyone. Today I want to present you the top 5 best tier 10 heavy tanks in the game World of Tanks. The main criteria were a combination of advantages and disadvantages of the vehicle, relevance, and comfort playing on the tank. Also, this top will be only those heavy tanks, which at the moment can get any player. So, here we go. 5th place. In 5th place is the Soviet heavy tank, Object 277. If I were asked to describe this tank in one word, I would say rocket. But first things first. Let's start with the disadvantages of this tank, and there are only 3 of them. It is lack of depression angle, poor armor of hull, and some characteristics of the gun, such as accuracy, stabilization, aiming time, and damage per minute. It's not that the gun is too bad, it's just that in combination of all the characteristics, it could have been better, so to speak. For example, the average damage per minute with all improvements is only about 3,000. Many of our competitors have more than 3,500. The average damage per shot is 490, which makes the gun playable. Despite the terrible hull armor, the turret of the Object 277 is armored very good. This can be used when playing from the terrain. Well, the main advantage of this tank is its mobility. The maximum speed is 55 km per hour, and it gains it up very quickly. Plus, this tank is very beautiful. Well, let's not take too long, let's move on. 4th place. In 4th place is an American heavy tank of the 10th level, T110E5. And damn, this tank is awesome. However, there is one small problem located on the turret of this vehicle, which from time to time makes playing on it a very nervous process. Here, please, admire this misunderstanding. In this huge WoT you will be penetrated by all enemies, without exception. Otherwise, the T110E5 has no disadvantages. Excellent turret and hull armor. An excellent weapon in all its characteristics. Very, very good mobility. As for a heavy tank, of course, it doesn't compare with Object 277, but still. Thus, the American T110E5 is a versatile tank, capable of adapting to any situation on the battlefield. Okay, let's leave this handsome in 4th place and move on. 3rd place. In 3rd place, the Swedish heavy tank repels enemy shells with its strong turret, Kranvagn. Among the significant advantages of this tank are the highly armored turret, the small size, and the availability of clip capacity for 3 shells. Average damage per shot is 440. The total reload time is only 20 seconds, and the reload time inside the magazine is 2.7 seconds. Combined, the average damage per minute is just over 3,000. For a tank that has clip capacity, this is very good. Only the T-57 Heavy has slightly better damage per minute, but that's another story. Not bad accuracy, stabilization and aiming time. Mobility of this tank should also be attributed to the merits. Not to say that the tank has excellent dynamics. Just mobility is good, that's all. Also perhaps, the main distinguishing feature of this tank from all other heavy tanks of the 10th level is the depression angle, 12 degrees. Combined with good turret armor, terrain play is the main occupation for Kranvagn. However, there is one drawback that greatly complicates the gameplay on this tank, and that is the low armor penetration. It is 252 mm for the base shell, and 300 mm for the premium shell. It would seem, it's not bad. But no. It's all about the ammo types, APCR shield, and heat shell. If armor penetration had been better, Kranvagn would have taken 1st place. Another small disadvantage is that there are only 3 crew members. This makes it difficult to choose perks. And, by the way, it's one of my favorite tanks in the game. 2nd place. Polish Big Man. Currently, of all the 10th level heavy tanks with an average damage per shot of 750, the 60 TP stands out for its awesome characteristics. Very good accuracy, stabilization and aiming time for such a powerful gun. Comfortable depression angle, 8 whole degrees. Damage per minute is over 2,700, which is also very good. Surprisingly, the mobility for such a big guy is not bad either. The engine has 13 horsepower per ton. The maximum speed is 35 km per hour. As for armor, 60 TP is doing great here, too. The turret and hull of the tank are strong. However, there are vulnerable areas in the armor. For example, the lower frontal part of the hull, or the side of the hull. But it are very small. So it will be hard for enemies to hit them. In general, 60 TP has a very simple and enjoyable gameplay, and will work well for both beginners and skilled players. And we're moving on. Extra place. One of the main criteria for compiling the top was the possibility of obtaining each tank by any player. However, it would be wrong not to mention this tank. British heavy tank at the 10th level, Chieftain. This tank has no weaknesses. Combined, it is the best tank among the 10th level heavy tanks, as well as the best tank in the game World of Tanks. Since this tank is not in the main top 5, we will not look at its characteristics in detail. And before we move on to the first place, I recommend taking a look at my top 5 best tier 10 destroyer tanks. Well, let's go. First place. The honorable first place is claimed by the British heavy tank of the 10th level, Super Conqueror. It was obvious to many. But what can you do if the tank is really worth it? In fact, this tank has only one disadvantage: mediocre mobility. Otherwise, it's an imbalanced vehicle. The best gun of all 10th level heavy tanks. Excellent accuracy, stabilization and aiming time. Base damage per minute is almost 2,900, which allows improving it to 3,600. Great depression angle, 10 degrees. Awesome hull and turret armor. The combination of these characteristics makes it very comfortable to play on hilly terrain on this tank. In fact, this tank is better in all characteristics than the Chieftain and T110E5, except mobility. Undoubtedly, this tank is suitable for both beginners and skilled players. Well, that's the end of the video. In conclusion, I would like to say that heavy tanks currently are not as popular as other classes of vehicles. But the gameplay on heavy tanks is very interesting and peculiar. And all players can play it effectively. Good luck to everyone, and remember, enjoy the game.